Hello, my beautiful people. I've got an urgent message for all of you. They are going to sign the UN Migration Pact on this Wednesday at the headquarters of New York. So I'm encourage you to gather as much people as you can to go and protest at the United Nations headquarters in New York because they will go this Wednesday and they will vote if the motion will be agreed upon every state member. So like Belgium, like the Netherlands, like Sweden will go in a vote and will be asked if the motion will be agreed upon every member state. So it's very important to go and protest outside the headquarters in New York from the United Nations building because we don't have a lot of time left. Because if this motion is agreed upon, the motion will be approved. So the UN Migration Pact will be approved. So there is no turning back from it then. So I'm encourage you to gather as much as possible uh, people to go and to protest because it's very important that people must uh, think and to go and protest. It's nothing. It's not that difficult. Just gather family members, friends, call relatives if you know who doesn't agree upon this motion, and go and protest because you have 3 days left. Yeah, if you count with this day is 2 days. 2 days left before each and every member state will visit the United Nations headquarters in New York. So there is not a lot of time left because they went to Marrakesh in Morocco last Monday and Tuesday. It was just an information gathering event, so that each member state would know what was written in the United Nations Migration Pact. So it was just an event for gathering information on what specifics were written in the United Nations Pact. So it's much important that people who live in America go and protest outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. I've put out the details, the address, in my tweet. Wait a minute, I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to pull out the tweet where the address is located in New York. So this is the address where the United Nations is located. So where the headquarters is located. I'm going to enlarge. Yeah, you can see it. You must go at this address and gather as much as possible of people that you know and go and protest outside the building because it's very urgent that you mustn't go. Do people have some questions that you want to tell me? Because if the motion is agreed upon on this Wednesday at the United Nations building, there is no turning back from it. Because some member states can say, I don't agree on this motion, so it's going to be a referendum then, when the date of the agreed motion will be held. So it's not 100% clear if the motion will be agreed upon on every member state on this Wednesday, because every member state must agree this Wednesday from the United Nations Migration Pact Accords. So it's very important that people go and protest outside the building at the United Nations in New York. So go and head to this address. I just put out a tweet. So go and gather as much as people as you know and protest outside the building, because it's very critical that that the United Nations must know that the people have the right to protest against this motion on Wednesday. Because if we do not go and protest, it will be a disaster. Because the United Nations will tell we can do everything we want, so without even the vote of the people. It's just ridiculous that that the people of each country do not have the right to choose if they want the United Nations Migration Pact. It's just ridiculous. Each country should have held a referendum if the people of the country should agree on the United Nations Migration Pact. Because the previous Monday and Tuesday they had a lovely and nicely event, which was paid by us, the people, not by them. We paid them the food and drinks and everything, but we the people do not have a voice to vote on this motion. So I encourage people to go and gather as much as possible of people to go and protest outside the building. Because it's just ridiculous. We don't have a choose upon the motion. And the Prime Minister of Belgium, Charles Michel, just fired 5 people last Wednesday when he came back from Marrakesh in Morocco, and he fired 5 members of the cabinet of his. So the Belgian government is in crisis mode, because we can choose to hold an early voting, but Charles Michel doesn't want that to happen. He just wants to wait until next year in 2019, because it will have a better impact on him from the United Nations Migration Pact. It's just ridiculous that the people do not have a vote to choose in this matter. Does somebody have a question for me? Send your questions through the Periscope chat, or through a tweet. Tweet at @soteridi for your questions, if you have some questions to tell me, and I would gladly be able to respond on them. We the people must go and protest outside the building. If I could go and protest outside the building, I would have gone, but I don't have the money to travel to New York because it's too far away from me. If I had the option to choose and go and protest, I would go immediately if I had the money. But I don't have the money to travel to the United States for this shorter period of time. But if somebody wants to donate a little bit of money, I would gladly go and protest outside the building for 3 days. So if people want to go and protest, the address is New York, New York. Uh, why do Americans have this kind of addresses? This is the address. Go and protest. You have 2 days left to protest outside the building. Today and tomorrow. And on Wednesday they are going to agree on the motion. Each member state must agree on the motion to hold a vote to sign it on Wednesday. Because they will not sign it on Wednesday, especially. But if the motion is agreed upon each member state on Wednesday, they will go and sign it later on that day. Send your questions at sdimpinoudis through Twitter. I would gladly respond to your questions. And if you type something on YouTube or on Periscope, your questions will be here on this section. You will see your own responses. And I would gladly be able to write something